Okay, am I actually live? Am I actually live? No, of course not. I'm live? You can see me? Oh, thank fucking God, finally. Jesus. Alright, now I gotta, send this to all of my stuff. Oh my God. Give me a second, guys. I'm so sorry. I hate this Chromebook. I'm gonna throw it into the sun one day. Alright. Sorry about that. Now I know, I'm, fucking around with shit but I'm gonna have to, send it to all my stuff now. So I can, update my, Discord people and all that. And on Blue Sky. Well, that'll give people time to come back in here if they decide to. Okay. Let me do my patrons real quick. And then I will be ready. Usually I do all of this pre-stream. I don't know what this thing's problem is when it comes to my streaming. It's really bad. All right. Cool. All right. I think we're good now. Sweet. Thank God. All right, now I can finally make my fucking tea. Welcome to Breakfast with Pop, finally. My God. Let me reiterate, since y'all have seen my ongoing war with my Chromebook. If you would like to help me get a new one, we desperately need some new equipment. By the way, the tea that I'm drinking is this butterfly pea flower tea. It's very good. We desperately need new equipment because this is not cutting it. For what I'm trying to do. So, there's a link down there if you would like to donate. Also, the windshield on our car really needs fixed still. Because it's snowing outside. I am terrified right now that we're gonna go out there and the snow will have been so heavy that it will have broken through the crack in our windshield and there would just be glass all over our car. I'm terrified of this. So let's just pray that's not the case. Remember to like the stream. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry about this morning. All right. Cool. All right. So today I wanted to talk spices, right? I really hope that my dear friends with slugs made it back in here because I know they were really excited about about this one. Um, yes, it's already been N morning. This is true. Um, but yeah, so I wanted to talk spices today because Quaker spices, not like, regular spices. Um, because I know that we have been lately going through ways that we can kind of build from here, right? And I feel like looking into spices was, oh yeah, you made it in. Okay. Um, looking into spices is a good way to work on building things. And here's why. I have noticed something about the left. We like these big, bold, um, I'm trying to think of how to put it. Like one day events or like week long events. Um, and then it's like we move on to the next thing, right? And I think what really needs to happen is more of a lifestyle change. Um, I think we need to, like, as leftists and as Americans, kind of work towards a more sustainable lifestyle and a lifestyle that divests more from capital. Um, because let me tell you, if I get one more uh, person in my comments anywhere um, telling me that I need to talk about the newest 24-hour general strike, I am gonna lose my mind. Okay, I'm gonna lose my mind. And I got another one like yesterday. Um, people in my comments like, "Look, a general strike." And I'm like, no, this is as dumb as it always was, guys. Um, so yeah, I want to talk like having more of like a lifestyle change that removes us more from capital instead of having these big events that never work. Um, and they don't really promote community and nobody really ever gets on board with them. Um, so yeah. Okay, I've realized something. I spent so much time trying to get this thing to connect that now I have to pee. So I will be right back. I'm so sorry. If I don't pee, though, I will not be able to focus. Ah, I'm so sorry. My brain was full of pee. All right. So the ADHD pee focus is the worst. It's true. It's true. If I have to pee, I can't think about anything else. My brain ceases to exist. Um, but yeah. So I wanted to talk like lifestyle changes because I got over the last like 24 hours, 24 to 48 hours, I think. I have gotten stuff about another general strike that only lasts for 24 hours. And every time I get one of those, I want to be like, dude, just say you want a day off. Just say you want a day off. It's okay. Take the day off. You don't have to pretend it's like a radical act. Um, but then the other thing is the blackouts. Don't buy anything for like 5 days. Okay. You're not going to be able to get enough people on board to do that. You're just not. Um, for it to make any sort of difference. What it has to be is either a very organized attempt, very organized, or it has to be a like slow divestiture. You know how like there have been a bajillion think pieces written about how like millennials are ruining certain industries? There's a reason those get written. And it's because um, millennials or, you know, Gen Z or whatever, they no longer bought at those places just because either they didn't have the money or they just found those things less important to buy. And so those kind of divestitures, I think that's the word I'm looking for. It doesn't sound right when I say it out loud, but divesting from certain industries, or divest, like shopping local more, and choosing to make those choices more, not all the time, but more, can still hurt profits. But what has to happen then is that it has to be a lifestyle change. It can't just be something that you do for 5 days. And the reason I want to go over the Quaker spices is that these are Quaker principles that have helped me move into divesting from capitalism and creating a more sustainable lifestyle. So let's go over the Quaker spices. All right. So the first one is simplicity. So Quaker Spices stands for simplicity, peace, integrity, community, equality, and stewardship. So that is what we are working towards in this sort of like lifestyle. Okay. And you don't have to be a Quaker to do this. It's something I think can be helpful for anybody, but it's something we try to make a commitment to as Quakers. So the first one is simplicity. And I have found in simplicity is going to mean something different to everyone, right? What it means to live a simple life is going to vary person to person, and it's going to be something you kind of have to like pray or meditate on or think about. Um, there are some Quakers who still like they almost live like Amish people, or they still have like the plain dress. They are less common than other types of Quakers, but there are still Quakers like that out there. And if that is the route you want to go, God bless. I'm not going to tell you not to do it. What simplicity has meant to me is trying to find more joy in removing myself from buying things. Like I'm trying to find less joy in going out and consuming. So like I try to go to thrift stores more if I need new clothes. And I try not to buy new clothes unless I need them. Which means a lot of my clothes are a bit worn out at this point. But I try to make things last as long as they can. I try to like not to I try to spend more of my time and money on things that might entertain me long term, um, instead of like purchasing an item that'll bring me joy in the moment and then, you know, it may not ever again. Um, I want to separate my joy from consumption. Um, And I try to spend more time with friends. Whenever I feel the need to like go out and buy something, I'm like, okay, do I need to buy something or do I need comfort? Do I need friendship? Do I need um do I need stimulation? Am I just bored? And I have found that I have saved a lot of money that way. Which is good because the tips have not been great lately, and that has been helpful. Um, but yeah, I found too that like I have more of a desire to like go to local places. Like you don't need to go to like some big corporate coffee chain. You probably have like a nice local coffee chain you can go to where the lady who works behind the counter is really nice and always gets your order right, and knows who you are. And I found that that experience, the experience of going to like local markets and local coffee shops and bookstores and such, where people get to know you and you like actually kind of make a friend, even if it's just like a kind of a professional relationship, like an acquaintance. That experience alone brings you more joy than going to like some corporate restaurant or coffee chain where like the person in there is like some 15-year-old who hates their life and is getting paid like $2 an hour. Like I struggle with simplicity because it has a history of squashing the expression of POC cultures. And that, okay, so that brings up a good point because something I have struggled with myself is like, okay, queerness is extravagant, right? It's opulent. So how do I balance Quaker simplicity with this sort of colorfulness and opulence that comes with queer culture? And I have found that um, it is definitely possible. It is definitely possible. Um, it is a matter of like I thought of like ballroom, right? Like there were so many queer people who, yeah, they had these like opulent gowns and things like that, but they had seamstresses, they had tailors who were making these things out of love. And I found that if that simplicity for me can mean learning to create the things I need out of love instead of just buying them from like some corporate chain. Does that make sense? Um, because that simplicity necessarily, you don't, I don't think you necessarily have to lose the ostentatiousness that comes uh, with queerness or with being of another culture. Um, because that's something I've definitely struggled with as well. Like, how do I keep this commitment to simplicity while also honoring my queer culture? Also, simplicity without sacrificing community. If I were to stop embracing my culture and queerness because of simplicity, that would be denying my community. Exactly. Exactly. So, like, I think it's definitely possible to have a commitment to simplicity while also honoring these bright, bold, colorful cultures that we are a part of. I have found that actually it can enhance things because it's almost okay. I'm gonna give a weird example here, right? Y'all watch anything Stephen Moffat's ever done, anything at all. Doctor Who, Sherlock, anything like that. Have y'all seen it? Stephen Moffat has a problem insofar as the second you give him more than $5 to make an episode of anything, he goes completely off the rails. So, and the reason I bring this up is I have found that trying to work within the confines of simplicity has actually made me more creative. Because now I have to figure out a way to honor the brightness and boldness of my culture while spending as little money as possible. And I have found that that is a challenge that can really motivate creativity. So simplicity is our relationship with spending and not expression. For some people, yeah. Like I said, this is something you really have to kind of think about and reckon with, and it's going to be different for everyone. Like, it's not going to be the same for everyone. Some people are going to be like, man, I really get a lot out of kind of plain dress. It makes me feel at home in my body. It makes me feel more connected to the earth. It makes me feel more connected to God. And, there's nothing wrong with that. If that's what simplicity means to you, then that's what it means to you. I found that doesn't work for me. I do feel disconnected from my culture when I dedicate myself too much to simplicity, on like an aesthetic level. However, when it comes to sustainability, that is where I find myself getting this like wonderful creative challenge. Stormy, the baby needs attention. Stormy, Stormy. Are you going to be nice today? Huh? Oh my God. How dare I put you down? Yeah, the amount of drag queens I've known that make amazing outfits out of very little, it's definitely doable. Yeah. I mean, outfits out of I've seen drag queens make outfits out of paper, out of recycled materials, out of taxidermy. Like, it's definitely possible to make something sustainable and simple that's also extravagant and fun and culturally relevant. Spicers are not creeds or rules, but are rather guideposts and values that a lot of Quakers share, which is why everyone will answer differently and have their own interpretation. Exactly. Historical Quaker fashion will also be helpful in Quaker X Queer collab. Okay, so I do have to say that old Quaker fashion is very like trans mask non-binary coded. So yeah, I'm working on making a silly overall dress out of crocodile curtains I got secondhand. Yes, see? Like, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about, is like you can do vibrancy. You can and the other thing too is if people are crafting things, if there are like artisans making things, that shit tends to last longer. Um creating something, if it's if it's not something that's sitting there being made in a sweatshop by like a 12-year-old in like Thailand, um, it tends to hold up better. And so it'll last longer and you'll have that piece that's made with love, um, that you can keep for a really long time and be proud of. Um, Whereas the things we buy now, a lot of them are purposefully made to break down really quickly so that we have to go buy new ones. For beginning sewists, remember to finish your seams. Yup. God, I haven't sewn in so long. My grandmother left me her sewing machine, but like our house is small and has a lot of people in it. So I just never have any place to set up. I wish there was like a big queer space that we had here that we could like set up things like sewing machines and studios and like different stuff that people could use and share, to be creative, like bring in art supplies and things like that, you know. Absolutely. And even when US Quakers were much more committed as a group to the plain dress tradition, they still made quilts, textiles, embroidery pieces. There's always been artistic expression. Yes. Yes, that is the thing too. A lot of libraries have maker spaces with sewing machines and different stuff. I don't think ours does, but that's awesome to know. All right. So let's move on to our next point, which is peace. Now, I wanted to talk peace because something Quakers often debate about is how to achieve peace. Um, if you go to this Quaker subreddit, there are going to be a lot of people there asking about peace, about nonviolence, about how to achieve peace on both a societal and personal level. Um, and that again is going to be something that is kind of different for everyone. Um, there are Quakers who have an absolute dedication to complete nonviolence, complete pacifism. Um, there are others who, for whom pacifism is a personal choice, but there is a bit of more of an understanding that violence in terms of liberation is something that is sometimes necessary. Um, for most Quakers, though, even if they see violence as necessary, they see it as a last resort. I've noticed, like a common sentiment I've kind of seen is like, if somebody brings up John Brown, what I've mostly noticed is people being like, so, I can't technically say he did nothing wrong, but, uh, like, um, there is room for nuance and exploration on that front. Um, so I would like to talk about how we can achieve peace societally and within ourselves, because I think that that is something that sometimes gets overlooked. And I think that, you know, achieving our own inner peace and our own peace with the world we live in and the situation we find ourselves in, even if we are still working towards making a situation that's better, um, we still have to have some level of like peace and acceptance within our own lives. OMG, the Quaker subreddit. No, it's this Quaker subreddit's so crazy, man. It's like, do I like what is the Quaker stance on nonviolence? And then people being like, I wish everyone would shut up during meeting and just enjoy the silence. Like, that's totally me. Maybe I'm more aligned with slices, replace peace with liberation. But I am personally pacifist in the way I try to move through the world. Yes, that's where I'm at too. I am personally pacifist, but I understand that in cases of liberation, there is certain types of violence that I'm not ever going to condemn. I will leave it at that. Jules Hawthorne, yeah, Heather's on board with slices. We could all really use peace in our in groups because the infighting has got out of control. Yeah. So I wanted to talk more about how we think we can solve this because you're right, the infighting has gotten out of control. And I think a lot of it is that people almost feel guilty finding peace in this kind of historical moment, right? I think that there is a guilt in realizing the world is terrible and trying to find peace in it anyway, because it almost feels like not doing your duty. Like you have a duty to be miserable. And I find that very unhelpful. Um because if you don't try to find some level of peace in your life, you won't be able to think straight. You won't be able to be helpful to other people because you're just going to be sad. Like, you're just going to be sad and your brain can't function in a constant state of sadness and stress. It just can't. So, like, I have found that prayer can be very helpful if that's something you're into. If not, like meditation. Spending time in silence, spending time in nature, spending time in creative pursuit. Um, I think that it's very easy in our day and age to kind of bringing it back to simplicity. So, like a combination of simplicity and peace. Um, as someone who has like a doom scrolling problem myself, I think it's like addictive, you know, because it feels like you are at least keeping up with things, that you have control of things, um, that you are satiating your guilt by, flogging yourself with doom scrolling. And I think people fall into that trap a lot. And what I'm trying to do with my own self, it's been difficult because it's winter. I think I'll have more luck with it in the spring and summertime when I can actually like get out in my garden and start planting things and go out for a run and things like that. Because right now we have like literally like 3 inches of snow on the ground, and I don't want to go out in it. Um, but I want to start moving towards like spending less time with my technology and more time with my people, you know? Yes, I think about this all the time. We cannot hold the world's hurt, but we can hold our neighbors. Yeah, so actually, something that JD Vance got wrong the other day, and it made the Pope mad at him. Um, what's that? What's it called? It's a Latin term. Um, give me a second. I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna do it. Ordo Amoris, the Order of Love. So Ordo Mortis is a Catholic principle, and it's essentially rightly ordered love, um, which is that you love God first and then yourself. And the reason you love yourself next is so that you can properly love your neighbors. Because you are supposed to love your neighbor as yourself. And so if you don't love yourself, then you cannot properly love your neighbor because you won't have a framework for what that looks like. Um, and then after that, you love your neighbor, right? Um, However, there have been concessions kind of carved out, which is that, like, if someone is in your near proximity, it is going to be more. It is going to be easier to help the people in your proximity than it is to help someone on the other side of the world, for example. Um, and so, like, it is beneficial to try to help your own community so that, like, eventually that love will expand out of your proximity, right? Now JD Vance fucked this up because he was like, oh, rightly ordered love is when you take care of your family first and your community, and then, then your nation, and then you can take care of the world if you have time. And that is not what Ordo Amoris is. And that's why the Pope is mad at him. It is about, like, not burning yourself out, um, by allowing yourself to be spiritually healthy. The Catholics have been pleasantly surprising me lately. Okay, so the Catholics are either very weird or very awesome without a whole lot of in between, it feels like. Because you have, like these trad cath weirdos, but you also have, like, Dorothy Day, like. So, like, I mean, look into, like, the Catholic workers movement, and look into the stuff that they have done over the years, and it's pretty fucking cool. I always feel guilty when I can't give more than I can. I'm trying to reframe it for myself as grief. I don't want to go numb, for example, so many people don't give a shit about homeless folks, etc. Yeah, that is the thing, is we are kind of dealing with a nation of people who just don't care about each other. Rugged individualism really has ruined our fucking brains, honestly. It's ruined our fucking brains. And this new wave of, like, ultra individualistic evangelicalism has ruined a lot of people's brains too. Um, it's just destroyed their empathy on, like, an inconceivable level. Um, and it makes me really sad because, like, that's the thing, is that, like, and that the thing is too, like, I feel like a lot of these people would understand, like, mutual aid being done through the church. Um, but, like, I don't know. It's all very confusing. Trying to figure out, like, right-wing evangelical mindsets is really difficult because it's very inconsistent and doesn't always make sense. Yeah, so okay. Since we're focused on peace right now, how do we what ideas do we have to create inner peace in our own lives so that we can spread that peace to the world, right? Um so we're talking, like, meditation, we're talking spending time in prayer, we're talking spending time outside, creativity, um But I also think that we want to strive for peace on like a global scale, right? Um, and I think that we should start getting creative. I mean, look at one of the biggest protests over the last couple of years has been. It's been a protest for peace, um, in the Middle East, in Palestine, um, and I think that we should evaluate what that looks like and where we go from here and how we achieve these things in the world we're living in. Um, and I think that we need to, I'm trying to think of how I want to phrase this. I think we need to evaluate whether we're kind of spinning our wheels. Um, I have a bit of a problem with the concept of bearing witness. I feel like bearing witness is something that is not being utilized effectively right now. Um, I've seen a lot of people kind of using bearing witness as a reason to sit and voyeuristically look at pictures of dead people, to make them feel morally better about themselves, as if they're doing something. And I do not like it. If you are bearing witness, you need to be archiving. You need to be a journalist. You need to be um, someone who is actively doing something with the information you have been given. Because if you are just sitting there and watching, you are not an activist, you are a voyeur. Like that is the case. Um so I think that we need to move away from activism that encourages us just to stare at the pain of others. Um and instead understand more deeply the pain of others. Um and listen to the pain of others and ask questions about how we can help, instead of making assumptions. Um, I think that technology has created a genie that cannot be put back in the bottle, um, which is that we can all see each other now. And it's really hard to hate people when you see them hanging out with their cats, you know? Um, and so I do think we have that on our side. Uh, but I think this kind of like voyeuristic bearing witness by just staring at people getting shot um, is not great. Uh, I think we need to work on how we engage with that kind of content, because the other thing is seeing constant violence is going to desensitize us. Um, and that is not great. So when creating peace, I think it's important to strike a balance between how much we are consuming that kind of content and not burying our heads in the sand. I think bearing witness needs to be active rather than passive. Yes, absolutely. Like, the example I like to give is like, I can bear witness to a car crash, right? I can sit there, I can look at this car crash, but if I don't do anything, if I don't call 911, if I don't go and see if a person needs help, um, then bearing witness isn't worth much. And if I just like make a video of a car crash and share it to other people so that they know a car crash happened, okay, that didn't really help either. Like, all you've done is make a video of someone else's pain. Like, there's a difference between holding your grandma's hand while she cries and scrolling through videos of violence for hours. Yes, exactly. I thought that bearing witness required action, documentation, or helping, or that was what was asked of us. Yes, that is what is asked of you. Unfortunately, that's not the way I'm seeing it be carried out in practice. And what I'm seeing is people who are like, I'm bearing witness, and then just sharing videos of endless violence, as if that in and of itself is the action, as if that in and of itself is helping, um, instead of going to the people who are most affected by this and asking actively how one can help. Because I'll be real, like, I'm just speaking like as a trans person. Um, I don't want to see the dead bodies of other trans people. I don't. I don't want to see that. And I don't want to see that on my feed. And I have to imagine that other marginalized people also don't enjoy seeing dead people like them. Like, I have to think that that's the case. Maybe I'm wrong. So, oh, hey, Joey, what's up? Um, I'm especially wary of this when it's less marginalized people witnessing violence against more marginalized people. It feels voyeuristic. Yeah. Um, I do think we need to move away from this kind of thinking if we are going to achieve peace. Um, I think it's important to know what is going on in the world. Um, but I'll be honest, I've seen one baby with no head, and that's all the babies I need to see with no head to know something's terrible. Like, that's just, I don't know how else to explain it. Um, all right, so I want you to keep thinking about how to achieve peace in the world, but we are at 47 minutes. This is going to be a long stream today, guys. Um, and we are at the second of the Quaker Spices because we've been talking, which it's been a good conversation. I think also this idea where we can't or won't believe marginalized people when they have been telling us for so long, we're demanding a visual or it didn't happen. Yes. All right. Okay, integrity. Integrity. Who can tell me what integrity means in the chat? I'm going to wait for a definition on this one, guys. I know y'all are sitting there like doing like a little Google search. All right, yes, we got a definition. The quality of being honest and having strong moral principles, moral uprightness. He is known to be a man of integrity. All right. So, if you haven't noticed, integrity is something that is severely lacking in our society. Um, I personally believe that capitalism is anti-integrity. You can only get ahead in capitalism if you cheat. That is simply the reality of the situation. You cannot make it in capitalism if you are not inherently a bad person. Um, unless you get very, very lucky. And even then, you are probably not going to keep the lucky money you've had if that's the case. So how do we function with integrity under a system that actively does not promote, not only doesn't promote it, but discourages it? We live in a system that discourages integrity. It encourages cutting corners and being shady for profit. Yes, Overlord Magatha, that is correct. So, and we have, okay, so as someone who works online, something I have noticed is everyone on the internet is lying to you in some way, shape, or form. I try my best, because I have these principles, to have integrity with the content I make. However, you are only seeing a small portion of who I am. You are only seeing what I feel comfortable giving you. And so I do want you to remember that even if someone on the internet is not trying to actively lie to you, we are all, every last creator you see, not giving you all of us. To protect our own sanity, essentially. Now, as a highlight to that, I can say within my own career path, we are incentivized to lie. We are 100% incentivized to lie. We are incentivized to exaggerate the truth. We are incentivized to get whatever gets us the most clicks. And it is a temptation that you actively have to avoid. Because if you don't, you are going to be making crazy ass conspiracy theory call out content for the rest of your fucking life. And that is something that I have tried to avoid like the plague, to keep myself from falling into that terrible fucking trap. And there are a lot of creators who can't resist it, because you can get big, big money by being a shit for brains in this industry. That is also why I've had a channel that has grown incredibly slowly. When I went into this and started really gaining followers, I kind of made a promise to myself that I was not going to give a shit how quickly I grew, as long as I was putting out things I was proud of, and as long as sorry, I had a burp. As long as I was putting out things that I was proud of, and as long as I wasn't like actively lying to my followers. Like that was something that I try to spread misinformation as little as possible. I have done it before on accident, and I've taken that stuff down and corrected it. I've tried to act with integrity as best I can, but I need you to know, like, everyone on the internet is lying to you to some extent. And you do have to make the active choice to give up the ability to grow very quickly, if you are going to make content that has integrity. Like, I have been under 150K followers. I've been at this for 5 years. But what I can say is that the group of people who follow me, they stick around. They tend to stick around because I would like to think that I've gotten enough goodwill at this point, that people know that I do my best, and that when I make mistakes, I try to correct them. Phew. Oh. So I want you to think about your industry and where you work and the concessions to your integrity that your job requires of you, right? Because this happens in pretty much every industry there is. Um, Capitalism wants you to not have integrity. If you are a retail worker, capitalism wants you to turn in that desperate mother who's taking baby formula, right? Capitalism wants you to protect its profit always. Um, that is its goal. It wants you to either generate profit or protect it. So, what industries do y'all work in, and in what ways are you being asked to um, not act with integrity? Stormy. Stormy. Do you need attention? Do you need attention? Like, really think about it. Like, what does your job ask you to do? Or even just like society. What does society ask you to do that is dishonest? Um and try to find ways to work around that. Apparently, I'm not supposed to tell customers about coupons for services where I work. Still do though, because car shit is expensive. Yeah, see, that's a way of having integrity and adding a bit of honesty to a business that does not want you to do that. It wants you to protect its profit over all other things. Um, my cat saw Stormy, and now they are upset that they can't mess with the random appearing cat. Yes, Stormy is a random appearing cat. That's for sure. She's gonna. Hi, Stormy. Hi. Oh, okay. Do you need forehead kisses? Is that what this is about? They don't need to see your butthole, Stormy. The internet doesn't need to see your butthole. It doesn't. It doesn't. Um. All right, so I'm gonna let y'all just sort of ponder that one. Um, because I think that, you know, it seems like obvious, right? Like, we should act with integrity, but I think that there is a temptation to not do that just because of the way our society is set up. And I think that um we should definitely think about and look at ways we can try to overcome that, and live an honest life, make an honest living, and work towards making a world that demands that our employers not force us to act dishonestly. I work in peer housing support, and honestly, there's just so much more need than there is services, and that requires us to pick and choose almost. And folks' biases come out, which feels horrendous. Yes, I've experienced similar things working in homeless services. Uh, there's like the people that people just give up on, um, and that's not great. And you're right, there is so much need and so little resources because we aren't given the resources. And that's what's frustrating too, is that we know the resources are out there. We know that this problem could be solved. But unfortunately, every last penny in this fucking country is sitting in Elon Musk's bank account, and it's just going to get worse. And I think that acting with honesty and integrity right now is more important than ever. Um, I think that if we want to create a better world than what we have right now, we need to act with honesty and integrity and show people there is a better way of living that isn't dog eat dog, I get mine, fuck you if you get yours. Like, there is a better way of living. All right. Community. The thing I harp on you guys for all the time. Constant harping. Actually, since I know that we were going to do like a really long stream today, but we've gone through 3 of these. And I don't know if I have it in me to do another hour on this stream. So we may want to pack it up here and go ahead and finish this up on Monday during our next stream. That will give people some time to think about this stuff, and we can revisit it shortly at the beginning of next stream. Because I did not realize how long this stream was going to run in order for us to go through all of this stuff. Okay. So, remember to like the stream. Put the little like on that stream. Right? And if you would like to donate to us or to any of our efforts, the way to do that, to donate to us specifically, so that I can get my children haircuts, so that we can fix our windshield on our car. And there's some other stuff too that I need to do that I can't remember right now, because we always have shit we have to spend money on. It feels like. So, yeah. Let's, if you would like to donate to any of that, the Cash App and Venmo is Oliver Snow Content. Or you can become a member of our Patreon. Patreon is very helpful. Patreon is very helpful because it lets me know how much money it's coming in every month, and I don't have to fish for tips, which I hate doing. I hate asking for tips. It is my least favorite part of this job. But if I did not have them, I would not be able to pay my bills. I would like to get to the point where my Patreon is enough that I can live a good, solid, simple, nice life, right? And then if you would like to donate to our outreach, our outreach fund is Mothman Mutual Aid WV. That is a Cash App only. Or if you are local, you can drop things off at Cicada Books. Our outreach is this Saturday. So if you are local also, we can always use an extra set of hands. I'm trying to figure out if we want to drag our wagons out to the mission this time and drag our wagons around town, because I feel like with the way the weather's been, people are going to be holed up. And it may be better to drop them off at a location like the library where people can have access to them. That might be more beneficial for people, because then they have some place that they can go inside and they can eat comfortably. And our library knows us. They're very cool with us. So also this Sunday, if you are a paid member of the Patreon, you will have access, if you would like to come, to our interfaith discussion group that happens at 7 p.m. A riverfront visit might be good too. Yeah. Oh, I have like a chest cold, and it sucks because like my job is to yap. Oh. Ugh. All right. All right, I gotta read donos. A special thank you to Jennifer Davidson, Margaret Capehart, Jessica Bednarek, Ariana, Emma Price, Allison Hill, Lauren O'Connor, Mao, Nathan, Morgan Westerin, Eleanor Bucksbaum, Jay Winia, Morgan May, Taylor Condra, River Johnson, Angelini Pellegrini, Faith Benamy, Kristen McSorley, Jacqueline Gordon, Devin Watson, Val Smith, Post Punk Pastor, Pauline Gibson, and John Borg. Thank you very much. Oh my god. Yeah, it's a good thing that we're wrapping up stream. Pray for me. Pray for me that I can get out of this house and get some Mucinex soon. All right. Well, remember, guys, drink a water, eat a food, be kind to yourself, to your neighbor, and to the earth. Thank you guys so much for everything you do. I hope you have a wonderful day, and God bless.